Hi, Lynn Tucker Carnivore here. How is everyone? Haven't seen you in a little while. Ribeye Ranger's out in search of the best fishing spot ever. And so I thought I would take a couple seconds and say hello. Um, I also have something I need to discuss with you because it's kind of a confession. I wasn't quite sure I was going to tell you this, but I prefaced the whole thing by saying we are very hardcore carnivore. And every day, pretty much every day, we have for breakfast, he has a one egg over medium. I have in butter, and I have, well, we both do, one of the Costco hamburger patties that is the 80-20, 80 protein, 20 fat. And we do that in the air fryer, 410 for 11 minutes with a shake, meaning you turn it. And that's preheated. And then I put a slice of cheese on it. For me, typically provolone or whatever is on sale. And for him, he has his smoked Gouda, which he absolutely adores. And I get it sliced at the deli counter of our local market. And I do that because, as some of us carnivores know or have heard, you don't buy sliced cheese because they typically put a powder in between each slice so that it doesn't stick together. So those that are pre-sliced, it could be potato powder, it could be rice powder, but either one of those are not really on our menu. So be aware of that. And also, it's a good idea to check the glycemic index on the cheeses that you choose. I have found a long time ago that truly orange, like sharp cheddar cheeses, make my skin break out. And I don't know what's in it that does that, but it's pretty prevalent. So I've steered away from that. I stick with the white cheeses if, I'm hoping, because that little bit of condiment cheese is really fun to have as a treat. So anyway, that's breakfast. Then lunch, that same hamburger with the same little one thin slice of cheese. And he has a little dollop of mustard. And at dinner, it's each of us getting a New York steak from Costco. Boring, some may think, but it's absolutely drop dead delicious. So I haven't had a problem with it. But there was one Costco run where I said to myself, you haven't had a piece of pizza in a million years. I mean, it really has been, at that decision point, probably a year and 3/4. And I have always been around 97 pounds, 96 pounds, 95 pounds if we're out working in the yard. And I went, yeah, I don't really think that's going to hurt me. And Dr. Kiltz always tells us that you don't want to lose too much of your body fat in case of a problem where you'd need to live on it for a little while, right? So yeah, I know that's not the best idea to kind of insert, but everything else I've tried, it just didn't work very well. And I'd had a reaction right away. So, and I think you've seen those videos, so I won't go into it, but it was just one of this or one of that. And so I succumbed. Yes, we each had one slice of pizza. And may I say, first of all, Costco is way better than any of the others. And may I say that Costco has the best pizza. And it was absolutely wonderful because I miss bread so badly. Okay, that said, don't try this at home. I'm giving you this information so you don't do it, okay? And we ate it. I did not have a bad reaction. I enjoyed it thoroughly. But here's the other side of that story. I came home, I tasted that blasted pizza all day long, all night long. I could even smell it in my nose the next day. And I'm going, I did feel like there was something heavy in my stomach, but I didn't feel bad. Okay. Then the next thing you do is You got to know if you're going to have a craving for it. Didn't want any more than that one piece. Actually thought about it after eating, going, maybe a half of that piece would have been better, because I would have been able to, get the feeling of what it was like. But let's not overload our system, because all the time we all talk about how important it is to not overwhelm your system with carbohydrates that you shouldn't be eating in the first place, and certainly not yucky ones like the crust of that pizza. So I went along that week and went, I probably won't get it this week. So the next Monday came along and we went, what the heck? I mean, it didn't really hurt anything. I didn't gain a whole bunch of weight. I didn't want anything else. It didn't cause me to have any cravings. So, okay, there's that. Let's do it one more time. The second Monday, and the third Monday, I was like, it's getting worse as far as how good it was. It doesn't taste as good anymore, but it is a treat. Okay, let's see if I can go another week. We'll probably just stop after that. So I'm telling you, it was like 5 or 6, maybe even 7 Mondays, more like 6. And today, didn't even need it. Didn't want it. Wasn't a big deal. It's kind of yucky looking. That's kind of sad. There really isn't anything that I can eat that strays away from the mere fuel that, those 2 hamburgers and a big thick steak will do for me, and a couple pieces of cheese. I know. That's one of the things that's the hardest for everybody, is your mental changeover to, it's just fuel, and I'm putting in the best fuel I can, and it's not exciting. It's really good tasting, but there's nothing exciting about it other than how you prepare it, which case that steak is pretty darn good when Ribeye Ranger grills it. It is superiorly delicious. And so even Sammy, our dog, gets in on the fact that his little hamburger patty that I make for him, for his dog food, is grilled on the grill too. So he just helps his dad to know when to flip things, and when it's ready to come into the house, he just goes ballistic because he's so excited. And he tells me, I've got to be prepared with his dish because that burger's coming his way. So yeah, your dogs will really enjoy the fact that you are carnivore and that they can become carnivore. And I do have a carnivore for canines video. And I've gotten even more simplistic these days. I do maybe 3 pounds because Sammy's a dachshund. He's like 16, 17 pounds, which means he's a small standard. And I make Costco has these 5 rolls of very lean hamburger meat. I think it's a 90-10 thing, if not better than that. And thaw out 3 of them. And then I take that mixture and mix it with some eggshells that are finely ground. And that's for the bone, which I'm very scared of giving the El Destructo jaw of a dachshund, because I know he's going to get something that's going to get lodged where it shouldn't be, because even though I don't feed him weight bearing or cooked, because I know not to, it's just, and he's allergic to chicken. So who knows? The chicken bones are probably bad for him too. Anyway, so I do that. And I also alternate between either calf liver, which is 1/4 of a pound of calf liver. Actually, no, it's 1/8 because I cut the 1/4 in half. And see, those residual math classes really perk up when you think about it later on in life. And then I switch between the liver one time, or the packed in water sardine can one time, or the packed in water oyster can, half a can one time. And I did find out that you can freeze oysters. So it's just that little mixture. Make them all into little cookie scoop balls and freeze them. And then he has one for breakfast, one because we're eating lunch, so does he, and two in a patty for dinner. And so that's his little thing. And if you have a bigger dog, obviously you're gonna have to feed him a lot more than that, but more than likely they're not allergic to chicken, so you can do it very inexpensively. And they need to chew. So the ground thing is really great for us, but I wish there was something that Sammy could chew too, that he would enjoy, that would be carnivore, that wouldn't freak us out so much, because we tried the chicken feet and it's pretty darn disgusting, even though they're really good for them. They're really good for them because they have glucosamine and chondroitin in them, and that's really good for their joints too. You just wish that somebody would have said, give them a manicure before we send them off to be sold, because it's pretty gross. Chicken nails, yeah. Anyway, so that's what's going on. And you might have noticed behind me, yep, it's my wall of shame. Yes, it's fame. But up here is the Trans-Siberian Orchestra gold record that they gave me for the sales of their one of their records when they very first came out onto the scene. And I was so in awe. My jaw was on the floor. They had the stage set so it was dark and there was smoke and stuff, and the girls were, their voices are angelic, and the music it just goes right through you, and I was speechless. I know that's hard for me. I was so excited at the fact that I was able to offer this and be there with them. It was a life-changing situation, and we sold a lot, so they gave me a gold record. Up here, that's Nolan Miller, and I was wearing a $5,000 dress. I know. And I wore it in the next hour after the kickoff of a Today's Special Value, where it was one of his necklaces, and I was selling exercise equipment. I was doing it was like a miscellaneous kind of hour. And I remember my boss got so mad at me for still wearing the dress and in that hour, because I should have changed. Well, first of all, you have no time to do that. You don't even have time to go to the bathroom between hours, let alone change out of an evening gown. So there was that. Plus the main reason was that was a $5,000 dress. I wasn't going to change out of it. Those are my 2 hours of maybe 3. No, was it 3? I probably did a jewelry hour after that. So it was 3 hours of ecstasy and a dress you'd never be able to see or wear again. And then a really sweet lady, a little December Capricorn too, just like me, and 2 days apart, but different years. And what a wonderful lady Susan Lucci is. Just the most. I'll tell you a quick story. I walked in front of her, or we were doing a sell on her hair products, and she walked in front of me or bent in front of me. I can't remember what it was, but she apologized for having her backside toward me. I know, talk about manners. Very, very, very dignified, classy lady, and it was just super nice too. Her and her then husband and very attractive young man were at a Christmas party, and we had a long talk with them, and they were really good parents. I'll just leave it at that because it's a personal story, but very exciting to know that somebody that has that much fame is still good inside and teaching their kids right. And then a little bit more from that side is me, my old picture with the Q. And then down here, I used to talk about Flipper a while because I don't know how they got on the subject, but I said how bummed I was that when we went to Florida, I had to ride in this stupid little boat behind the dolphin, which I wanted to ride the dolphin like any other kid would because it was Flipper, and they told us it was Flipper, but it wasn't Flipper. Anyway, I had to ride in this stupid little boat because I was too little. So I said I was a big fan of Flipper and I always wanted to ride with Flipper's fin. And so Luke from the older son in the show sent me that picture and said, it was so nice of you to talk about us on air. That was so cool. So that's kind of fun. And there's more things I'll show you. There's me as a really young person, like I think I was 19 or no 20. And then Stan Herman, he's right there. We used to call him the captain of chenille. And there's Jean Bice up here. She has the Quacker Factory. And then Joan Rivers signed that one to me when we used to work together. It's kind of cool. So, and in the bottom here, there's Giovanni and me. I don't know if you can see that. He was big on playing very beautiful music on the piano. So there's a little fun little excerpt, and this is getting way too long, so I'm just saying hi, giving you that word of warning. It really doesn't make sense to try anything, especially if you are one of those that if something sweet touches your lips, it's over and you've got to start all over again. Don't do it. I can moderate. I did it, and it lost its luster. Yes, those beautiful pictures of pizzas on TV, I don't really give a crap about them anymore. Isn't that something? Your body doesn't miss what it doesn't need. Something to think about, and something not to yearn about, like, oh, I've got to give this up. No, don't act like that, because the longer you go on carnivore, the more it just doesn't matter. I mean, people have quit smoking. People have quit drinking. Because it just fades. Your desire, those first 2 weeks are the hardest. And then after that, the desire is just gone. I don't know how to explain it, but it is. And stick with it, because it's going to be well worth it. And don't stray, especially if that's your thing, to be a sugaraholic. There's probably 95% of America that is. So you're in good company, but know your limitations. And let people like me be able to do things for you to experiment so that you don't make that same mistake. Okay? It's our thing. We're together on this. Okay. Take care. Stay strong. And have a wonderful day. Go out and walk and see all the beautiful things God made. Just for us. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.